Right, so this is the Avantone CV-12, aka the Taylor Swift mic. Yep, this microphone became famous through Taylor Swift. I think she used this on a lot of her earlier productions when she was kind of developing her sound. This is the microphone that she chose to go with, and it's a very unique microphone, especially to this channel. This is the first time I'll ever have a microphone like this on the channel testing out, so this will be quite fun. Now, if it's good enough for Taylor Swift, surely it's good enough for me. A lot of people use this microphone for females, so it'll be nice to see how this works on my particular voice. Right, so let's get into it. All right, so first things first, without jumping too deep into the specs, this is a tube microphone. There's a few accessories that come with it for it to be able to work. It's a little bit different to the normal condenser FET microphones that we're used to. So let's just discuss over what comes in the box. So this microphone comes packaged in a really large box. Once you get that out of the way, you get a flight case to protect the whole microphone and its accessories. Once we open up that, we can see what we get inside of our little flight case here. Well, not so little. So we get the cradle for the actual microphone itself, which is a pretty nice one actually. It's got a nice unique design. I think this design is kind of preferred for tube microphones. We also get the PSU, or the power supply unit. And this unit is a solid build. It's got the same kind of red color that the microphone has as well. And on there, we can see that we have the XLR that's going out into our audio interface. And then we've got the pin that goes into the microphone to supply power into the box. And then also we've got our little controller here to go through all the pickup patterns that come with this microphone. So that's not on the mic itself, it's actually built into the power unit. After that, we get obviously the power supply cable for the unit itself, but it's not supplied with an XLR cable. And then we get a wooden box which is holding the microphone inside of that, which is a nice presentation box. And the microphone just looks pretty beautiful. It's got like such a beautiful vintage look to it when it's just sat inside the box. It's really nice. All right, so let's run over some specs on the screen right now of what this microphone is capable of. I did put them in my phone here so I can read those off for you. So the Avantone CV-12, it's a tube type condenser microphone. So it's got 9 polar pickup patterns, which are all selectable on the actual PSU unit. You can just rotate that around to get the particular pickup pattern that you need, which is quite handy and it's quite unique for microphones that I've used here on the channel. We've got a frequency response of 25 to 20,000 hertz. We've got an output impedance of 250 ohms, a maximum SPL of 136 decibels, and then we've got equivalent noise level of 17 dB, sound to noise ratio 78 decibels, sensitivity minus 35 decibels. Some of these numbers I have no idea. I literally just record and go with that. All these geeky specs I don't know, but I'm hoping you guys will find them interesting. They are on the screen if I'm pronouncing them wrong or saying them wrong as well, so bear with me, I'm not that guy. It has a male XLR 7-pin, which is the one that goes directly to the power supply and the microphone itself. And like we said earlier, it comes with a padded wooden box, a shock mount, and metal road case to go through. It has a high pass filter switch, 80 hertz, that's 6 decibels. And we have an attenuation switch of 10 decibel switch on there as well, which we'll run through in a little bit. As far as weight goes, it's 1.8 pounds, and its dimensions, if that's of interest to you, is 9.5 inches by 1.8 inch. All right, so let's go over the actual build of the microphone itself. I'll show some B-roll as I'm going along this, but it's a longer microphone. It's a long microphone in comparison to what I'm used to. I thought the SC Electronics microphone that I had was a pretty large microphone, but let's do a comparison in size there. I got it over here. In comparison in size, it's I'd say all together packaged up, it's a pretty similar size there, but the Avantone has kind of a little bit more of a thin build to it, so it's not that far off actually. It just looks longer once it's in the cradle, and being a tube microphone, you can hang it upside down and feel part of the crowd. There was a thing back in the day where the tubes would get hot and you didn't want the heat to actually go up into the capsule itself. I'm sure nowadays that's been corrected with modern technology, but it meant that everybody used to have to hang the tube microphone upside down, which is what I'm doing here right now. I think it's pretty cool. So we have the switches. We have the roll-off switch there, which is a pretty nice standard switch. There's nothing special about it. I know some have sliders. It just had a normal toggle switch that goes left and right. And then we have the -10 switch on the other side. Looking around the back of the microphone, there's no other switches or dials on the microphone. So what I'm going to do is just a bit of test. You've been hearing my voice coming through the microphone as it is, but let's just hit the roll off and just see how that sounds. So let's just roll off that now. And can you hear any difference? I've been trying to speak 6 inches or so away from the microphone. The microphone is angled towards my mouth here. And then we can kind of move around. But that's what it's like with the roll off switch. I'm going to engage it back again now. And now you should hear my voice flat, however the frequency response sees it. And now we're going to do a -10 dB on this. So that should be quite a bit quieter for you. And I'm looking at my meters there, and they actually look correct now. So I apologize if I've been coming in hot. I'm going to switch it back so it's going to get loud. And so now we should be back at the volume. Now, one thing to bear in mind, it's a tube microphone, so you have to allow it to warm up. And this has been warming up for 20 minutes before I started doing this video. So we should be hearing the microphone at its optimal-ish temperature. Maybe it has to get a bit warmer. The room ambience should be up there on the screen. We've got 22 degrees in here, so it's a nice ambience for the microphone. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move around the microphone so you can hear its rejection. So that's me talking directly into the front of the microphone. I'm going to move around to the side here of the microphone and move around to the opposite side of the microphone. And then I'm going to try to get round to the back and just speak into the back of the microphone so you can see how that sounds until I move around to the front. Now, I've got this set to Cardioid at the moment. Of course, you can change the polar patterns so that it will pick you up as you go around. I'm sure you guys know all about that. If you don't, then I guess I need to make a whole video about pickup patterns at some point. I want to hear how the tube mic actually sounds in a mix that I'm so used to, a song that I've done for a long time with multiple different microphones. So I'd like to see how the tube microphone sits in that mix and how much more warmth or depth or a vintage tone that this microphone has over some of the other microphones. But before we do that, let's just do a comparison test then, so you guys can hear how this microphone, a tube microphone, sounds, which is at the £500 mark, right? So you gotta bear that in mind. It's not a super expensive microphone. It's also not a dirt cheap microphone, but we're kind of getting into the more pro world when we go into tube world. So yeah, it's a bit more of a pro microphone that they'll use. You don't really tend to see these too much in home studios, but this is definitely the perfect entry level tube microphone to test. Right, so let's check this microphone against some other microphones. Man, if I can make it through without having some sort of mad indigestion today. I knew I shouldn't have had those 6 coffees. All right, so right now you are hearing me on the Avantone CV-12, as you have been for the last 5 minutes or so. Yeah, so I'm just making sure that you can understand how I sound, and then I'm going to switch onto another microphone now for you. Okay, and now you're hearing me through the Z3300A from SE Electronics. This has been one of my favorite microphones for absolute donkeys. This is my first higher grade microphone I ever purchased, and it decided to die on me a while back, but I've been meticulously repairing it, and finally I've got it to record vocals again now. So you're hearing me through the SE Electronics Z3300, a tank of a microphone. But yeah, so that's how it sounds through this mic. Let's go back to the Avantone to see how that sounds once again on my voice. All right, and now you should be hearing me back again on the Avantone CV-12. Was there much of a difference? Does this have a nice richer tone to it? Maybe I can get a little bit closer here. Yeah, so that was your bit of a change in microphone. So now you're hearing back to the CV-12. I've got to give a big shout out, to Podcastage, who kind of is the king of doing these mic comparisons. So anytime anyone does a mic comparison, you've got to kind of compare yourself to Podcastage, because I mean, he's the grandfather of it, and I think he has the ultimate way of doing it, hence why we do it the way he does it, I guess. So I'm sorry if I come across like I'm ripping him off. I just couldn't think of any other way to do it that made sense. Yeah, all right, let's switch on to one more microphone so you can kind of get a feel for it. All right, and now you're hearing me through the GXL 2400 by CAD. This is another microphone that I really enjoy. It's Alright, so the previous microphone we had didn't want to work for us, so I've decided to switch to another microphone. This is actually my daily driver microphone. It's the SE2300, and now you're hearing me on this particular microphone. A bit more of a modern sound, I think, from this mic. Yeah, so now you can kind of hear how the Avantone compares to the SE Electronics. And let's switch back to the Avantone finally. You've been listening to me through various different microphones, and we're back onto the Avantone CV-12 now. I think now is about time we did some tests with the microphone to see how they work in my kind of environment. So first things first, let's do a voiceover situation. I love doing voiceovers to B-roll and stuff like that. So let's do a talking into the microphone VO situation and see how that fares. So I'm just going to read a little bit off the Avantone website itself, how I would normally do my voice for voiceover when it comes to like product reviews and stuff like that. All right, let's dive into Silky Charlie mode. All right. The CV-12 is a large diaphragm tube-based condenser mic, designed to perform like the world-famous European tube mics of the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Although the vacuum tube is virtually obsolete, it remains irreplaceable in the world of audio. Avantone CV-12 utilizes a vacuum tube circuit and gold-sputtered 32mm diaphragm to its full potential. All the warmth, clarity, and richly organic sound reproduction capabilities of the Avantone CV-12 stands as tall or taller as contemporary favorites, or priceless vintage relics for mere dimes on the dollar. I don't actually understand American. So if you're wondering why I'm not using a guard here, it's because mine has decided to go complete anti-Viagra on me. I have no choice but to offer beautiful plosives into this microphone, which I don't want to do because it's not my microphone. I'm borrowing this microphone and I don't want to pop into... That's enough. What I'm going to do now is a little bit of a singing section. Now, to kind of put you on the same wavelength of where I'm at for this, what I'd like to do is, a lot of times when I'm picking a microphone, it's nice to just listen to it on its own and think, okay, that sounds really nice on my voice, right? But the best way to do it is to record your vocals and throw it on the mix or the instrumental without touching it, and just see how it sits in that song. I know every single song is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit brighter, a little bit darker, depending on what you're doing, right? But the key point is the least amount you need to do after the fact of recording is a better choice microphone, right? It's going to sit nicer in the mix for you. That's kind of what you want. The worst thing is you having to pull out a lot of effects to kind of correct the issues of the microphone. Before you know it, you've kind of hindered the sound a bit. The only way I can kind of make this make sense for myself is, say, in the video making world or in photography, you have two formats, right? You have JPEG and you have RAW. The RAW is going to have the full capability so you can edit the image. The JPEG's already got a baked in colored sound. Man, I've got so much gas today. How much coffee have I had? In the audio world, I guess the baked in colored sound is when, say, you're already putting your microphone through a chain, a vocal chain, an external vocal chain going into the computer, right? How it's going right now is directly from the microphone into my camera. Well, it's going through the Universal Audio Volt 1, if you want to know what interface I'm using, and then it's going directly into my camera here. So that's kind of a bit more of the raw in that sense, because you're just hearing the microphone how it is, which gives you more leeway to manipulate because it's not already manipulated. I hope that makes sense to you. It's making sense to me, but nothing makes sense to me, really. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to record with this microphone, and then we're going to record with my normal daily driver and just see how they sound in a mix, dry, how they sound once they've had the typical default effects thrown on them. And I'm not going to do any kind of correction like this at this point. What I'm going to do is, if you've ever used a CLA plugin through Waves, it kind of adds a sheen or a bit of compression in certain areas, right? I'm just going to apply that on there, so I'm not doing any tweaking to the EQ, and then just see how that sits in the mix. And then I'm going to do EQing and just talk about how easy it was to EQ into that mix or how difficult it was to EQ into that mix. I hope all of that makes sense. Let's get started. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, we can see it all. Alright, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a listen back to the vocals that we just recorded. Where, if I can find my mouse, hold on. So you guys can probably not see what's on the screen here, but I'm just going to run you through what's going on. So first we're going to play the raw vocals dry mix, I should say, out of the Avantone, and then we'll play the dry mix out of the other microphone that I used, my normal daily driver microphone, and then we'll apply the CLA plugin, which is kind of a do-it-all Swiss Army knife plugin, and then after that we'll do a little bit of EQing and see how that kind of works out, and just kind of give my experience on that situation. So you may see the back of my head, but I'll try and talk into the microphone here for us. Right, so let's first take a listen through to the dry vocals on the mix, and then I'll flick through onto the other one as we're going through. So let's take a listen here. Right, hopefully if I press play. Alright, so you guys can actually hear the whole song hopefully in there. It may be coming through as mono, so I apologize. Let's just see how this goes, and hopefully it's all gonna work out. Alright, so let's play it first with the CV-12. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. Now to me that sounds really, really nice. There's so much texture there, there's so much depth there in my voice. So let's take a listen now to the other microphone and see how that sounds. Now remember, there's absolutely nothing on these mixers, these are just raw out the microphones. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, we can see it all. Now I tried to pronounce or sing near enough identically. Let's go back and forth and switch between them. So I'll try and put it on the screen which one I'm flicking through, but I'll talk through it as well. So first, Avantone. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. Take a look, we can see it all. So as you can probably hear there is a lot more texture in the Avantone CV-12. There's a lot more depth and lower end to it, but it's not kind of a rumbly lower end. It's got a real nice tone to it. So let's listen now without the audio on there, without the music on there. Let's mute that and let's solo this section here. I'm just going to do this part of my voice because I felt this part of my voice had the more lower end, the more rumble to it. Take a look, you can see it all. You see it all. It has that bass to it, the lower tone. Let's listen to how that sounds on the other microphone. Take a look, we can see it all. So you can see it still has it, it still retains it, but it's not as heavy as how it sounds through the Avantone, and it's a little bit more brighter, a little bit more sizzly. Let's listen to one more time. Take a look, we can see it all. Take a look, you can see it all. We fight for love and ground. We fight for love and ground. Now you can see the other microphone, way more modern, way more bright. This has way more of a vintage sound to it, but one thing I will say is it's picking up a lot. Now this room is not treated. It's doing pretty okay in this room, but did you hear the police sirens going off outside? Let's just play that one more time. We fight. Yeah, so it picks up a lot of ambient noise, a little bit more than say the other microphone I was using. That is kind of apparent in the mix like itself. If you take a look, hopefully I can, let's just do a screen record here. I don't know if you can see this on screen, hopefully, but I'll explain it anyway. In between where I'm singing here, you can kind of see a waveform where it's picking up ambient sound throughout the room. So let's just take a listen to that now. Let's solo it and see how that sounds. So that's actually, as you can hear, listening to the sound from the headphones themselves. It's picking it up. It's really, really sensitive. And bear in mind, these two microphones are set to the same volume as close as I could get them. And let's hear the other microphone. There's no... So they're both picking up the sound from the headphones, but I felt the Avantone just a little bit more sensitive to those tones there. So that's one thing to bear in mind. All right, so that's the dry. Let's throw on the CLA plugin. Let's grab that over here. Right, so let's solo our vocal and let's do it in the mix itself. So let's just put a little loop here and we're just gonna loop this section. Go with that. Actually, let's do that. Let's just mute that and then let's loop it. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide. All right, so what I'm going to do now is a little bit of manipulation using this plugin here, the Chris Lord. Is that the Chris Lord? All right, so what I'm going to do now is a little bit of manipulation using this all-in-one plugin. It's a real easy way of just getting a nice sounding vocal without having to dive in depth. But we'll just do that now and see how that goes. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. There's no place to run and hide this time. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Looking down from the top, looking down from the top. Alright, cool. So now we've just manipulated this plugin a little bit to make it shine a little bit more in the vocals. So let's hear how the vocal sounds laid across with this plugin on it. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Turn it on. Take a look, you can see it all. There's no place to run and hide this time. We fight for love and ground. Alright, so that's that. Let's do the same again. Let's literally drag and drop these effects over onto the other one. I was going to put a Grallion on there. So with this, it's just a slight, if I click on that one, oh, that's gone to the wrong screen as well. So what the Grallion's doing is just kind of like focusing the pitch. It's like auto-tune, but I've got it set so subtly that it's just pushing things around a little bit. It might throw things off, so I just decided to switch it off. Let's just leave it off actually. Let's not put any of that on there. And let's try it now on the other vocal mic. So let's mute our CV-12. Open up the other mic. Let's play that without the effects first. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. I mean, I think that sits in the mix actually okay. The other mic on the CV-12, I think I got it too high. I need to bring it down a little bit. But let's do it with the effects on. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Okay, cool. So let me go back to the CV-12. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. I'm just going to level them out now so they're about the same decibel peak kind of thing, and then we'll listen back and forth. So there's no EQ that I'm doing, it's just running through this plugin itself just to see now which one sits a little nicer once it's got a little bit of manipulation, but the same manipulation for both mics. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Okay. Now we are ready to put the two microphones back and forth to see how it actually sits in the mix. I'm hoping all this is making sense and then you find it interesting, because it's easy to just talk into a microphone and test it that way, but it's a little bit nicer or appropriate to actually test your vocals on the actual song you intend to use it on, right? So let's do that right now. First, CV-12, then the other one, then the other one. I'm going to flick them back and forth. Try and keep it on the screen for you, A and B kind of thing, or at least write the names of the microphones. Let's go. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, we can see it all. Looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, you can see it all. There's no place to run and hide. This time we fight for love and ground. And if we're looking down from the top, we can see all the things they hide from us. Take a look, we can see it all. There's no place to run and hide. This time we fight for love and ground. Alright, and so there you have the singing test going on. I did go deeper into it for another whole hour of just manipulating the sound between this microphone and the other microphone I was using, and what I found was that it was easier to manipulate the high end on this particular microphone than it was on the other one. Even though I could get there, it just took me a little bit longer on the other microphone than it did to manipulate the highs on this, whereas the rest of the mix of this microphone was absolutely stellar, exactly how I wanted it to be. So the low end of this microphone, perfect, but the high end was a little bit dull, which is what we expect from a vintage styled microphone, whereas on the other microphone, it was spiky, a little bit sizzly at the top, and the low end is where it needed the work being done. So I had to kind of roll off a lot of the highs, but when you roll it off, you got to do it in a nice way to make it sound smooth. So yeah, I could get to the same result in the end, but I got there quicker using the Avantone in this particular song. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed the experiment. My overall take of this microphone, I think for the price of this microphone, it punches above its weight. It's really nice. When I first tested my voice on it, I was thinking, oh, it's dull, man. Like, it's really dark. It's a darker microphone than I'm used to. But then once I started to actually put it into a song and start to mess about, I could hear the richness, I could hear the tones in my voice, kind of how I like them to sound. Yeah, and I really enjoyed that. I'm starting to really enjoy this microphone. It's definitely got a character to it. It's a darker, warmer, more intimate sounding microphone, so it would do well with, say, an Adele kind of singer kind of thing. But when I am doing my closer, like less instrumentation songs, this microphone makes a lot of sense. If it's a song where there's a lot going on, then maybe a more modern microphone, or maybe just EQ this to cut through the mix a little bit more. But I can see this microphone working on a variety of different applications, but it seems to be quite strong when it comes to that kind of intimate vocal kind of situation. If you're looking for a tube microphone or a different sounding microphone, something a little bit more unique, then I think the CV-12 from Avantone is an absolute banger of a choice. Now, one thing I will say, which I probably didn't mention throughout this whole video, is it doesn't use phantom power in the way that we normally know it. So when you plug this microphone in, it will go into the PSU, or the power supply unit box, and then from there it'll XLR out into your audio interface. But make sure you don't press phantom power on your audio interface, because it's already being powered by its power supply unit. I mean, it goes without saying, but sometimes people might make the mistake of leaving that phantom power switched on because they're used to it with other microphones. And please don't do that. Don't plug your microphone out with your phantom power switched on, because that's what killed my original mic back in the day anyway. So anyway, I'm waffling. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then hit a like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to do a lot more microphone reviews like this one. My next thing I think I might do is, can I actually match or clone this microphone using the other microphone that I have? Because there's ways that I found to clone microphones using certain tools online. I just want to see, while I've got both of these mics here together, could I actually make it happen? If you're interested in that video, stick around, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.